porn. Yep, it's exactly what you get when you buy a ticket to see X. It could be X for X-rated, but just as likely X to do with the X Factor those around her say the lead character has. We're talking 1979. A couple of guys, Wayne, Martin Henderson, effectively the ringleader, and RJ, Owen Campbell, set out to exploit the home video market by producing a pornographic film using high-class cinematography. Of course, it's being done on a budget, regardless of the fact that they're trying to do it as high-class cinema. But the executive producer, Wayne, who I just spoke about, Martin Henderson, and the cinematographer, RJ, Owen Campbell, have the talent at their disposal. Bobby Lynn, Brittany Snow, seems like an old hand at this caper. She likes being a show pony. She knows exactly what to do to build excitement. And I suppose that's a double-edged sword, that word. Maxine, Mia Goth, is younger. She snorts cocaine. She wants to be a star. Wayne talks her up, and when push comes to shove, she doesn't let him down. The bloke, Jackson, the bloke who's involved in the pornography, Kid Cudi, is equally comfortable getting it on camera. The sound recordist is Lorraine, Jenna Ortega, who happens to be RJ's girlfriend. She's far less comfortable with proceedings until she has a change of heart. And the six of them travel together in a van to a rundown old farm in Texas. I don't know, where were they coming from? Do you remember the guys?
Houston.
They were coming from Houston to Texas.
No, rural Texas, yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, okay. And they met... Oh, Peter, is this your cat?
Not me.
No, it's mine.
We've got pussy galores around here.
It's your cat,
Thank you,
Dave.
I'm a black man.
Gee, okay. Well, it's all right. The cat wants to make its opinion heard too. Very nice. So they're met at this farm by a grizzled old man called Howard, played by Stephen Ure, who hardly makes them welcome. He actually takes an immediate dislike to them all, and he tells them to stay away from his wife. She suddenly appears. She's just as haggard as her husband and takes more than a passing interest in Maxine. That's the younger, about-to-be porn star. And she's sort of interested in Maxine and what she gets up to. The wife also wants to be seen as desirable, just like Maxine is. So she and Howard are set to create, well, absolute mayhem for these pornographers. I thought this was a really impressive horror film with a strong period look about it. There's an air of originality about it too. It's creative, it's intriguing, it's gross, it's creepy. And I really like the fact they spent a long time, and looked at my watch, an hour on the setup before the effective guillotine falls, and that's great. I mean, once blood's spilled, of course, more and more follows in quick succession, and all the while subplots continue to play out. There are power plays, there's questions of adequacy and morality, and never far from eyeshot is this black and white television screen showing a Bible-bashing preacher, Dave.
Yeah, look, Ty West is one of the most exciting young horror directors in the world at the moment. He's come up through doing these short pieces for anthology films like VHS in the past. He loves 1970s and 1980s horror, so there's no surprise that this film takes on that 1970s kind of schlock horror look, but it's creative. I also love the fact that Martin Henderson gets a starring role here, New Zealand Aussie actor. He had a kind of start in Hollywood a few years ago with a film called Flyboys, but then it didn't go anywhere, so great to see him doing that, but great to see Ty West do an absolutely awesome horror film that we've known that he's been capable of doing for a few years now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I reckon that he's done a remarkable job as a writer and director, Ty West. He's certainly elevated X to above the ordinary, Greg.
He has indeed. Look, there's plenty of gruesome moments here too, and the film earns its R rating. And Ty West has directed a lot of slasher films in his career, but here he's aiming for something a bit more ambitious, I thought. He captures that vibe of the 70s films, often with the look and feel of the film, the grainy film stock at times, and the use of split screens, which recall some of those 70s films there as well. It's developed a really authentic-looking setting here for the setting of the film, even though it was shot in New Zealand. And there's also the soundtrack of '76, which plays out there, particularly Blue Oyster Cult's "Don't Fear the Reaper" at one particularly ghastly moment there. I thought the performances across the board were pretty good. The actors throw themselves into their roles with relish. And Mia Goth plays a dual role here, and I thought she was really good. Unrecognisable in the second role she plays here. This is a lot of fun there, and especially if you like your horror gory, and with a lot of surprises. And even though it telegraphs his punches, are still effective.
Yeah, very much so, Peter.
Yeah, I quite liked it. It certainly is. It resembles a lot of the horror films of the 70s, everything from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to so many of the other horror tropes at the time. What is always interesting about this type of horror film is the way people are dispatched in how ingenious a way as possible, but also the order in which they disappear. So it's very much an interesting political sort of issue that you can make with these films about who dies, in which order, who survives, and what is the real point of the story. And we do get a real point of the story in terms of the elderly couple in that house. So, yeah, I quite liked X as well, but it is pretty graphic, I must say.
Oh, it is indeed. We are running short of time, so let's get some scores. Peter?
Look, I give it 7 out of 10.
Greg?
7 out of 10.
Dave?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 for mine too. And the Comedy Fest